Hey y'all, it's your girl Flo,
and your girl Elizabeth,
and we're back with another
Transparency Tuesdays.
Oh my gosh. And so as you see, we're trying to talk low because the baby is sleeping.
Yes, and we need her to stay sleeping.
Just for a few minutes.
We just don't have the time.
Facts.
Last time y'all saw in the video,
she was going, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, tell them what we're talking about today.
Okay, so today we really going to talk about how we went from ripping up the list to getting to the point where we are today mentally. Okay? A lot of us don't really understand that we need to prioritize our mental health. Period, point blank. There's no discussion about that.
.com, don't look for nothing else.
Because if you don't, in this wicked world, you'll become crazy.
Yeah. And if you don't prioritize your mental health will force you to prioritize it.
Very true.
In the future. So many of y'all may or may not know, I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So I do prescribe and do assessments for mental health related diagnoses. But I've always been passionate about mental health, honestly. Even prior to that, that's what brought me into that line of study. And what I've noticed, especially the most with people and women of color and just human beings in general, is that we are all going through stuff. Yeah. And sometimes that stuff is huge, and sometimes that stuff may seem relatively small to other things, but in our world, it feels ginormous. And when we don't handle that stuff, our body likes to keep score. Yeah.
Also, our body is petty. Very petty. It doesn't forget.
No. So it will keep score. And so you're just like, why am I always anxious around this person? Why am I always talking like this? Or why am I always feeling frazzled or depressed or sad, or I go through these moods? Is because maybe something has happened to you and your body is keeping score. And so you may have thought you forgot about it, but your mind and body has never forgotten. Another instance is just that, chemical imbalances exist. Nothing's wrong with that. And there's medication out there to help, and therapy and all the mental health resources. But we do ourselves a disservice if we don't actually take care of ourselves. Oh, I'm strong. I got this. What? God got me. Yeah. And God also wants you to have wisdom. He knows that this world sucks. Okay. It is wicked, crazy, and all the things. And he's fully aware of that. And that's why he puts certain people and things in place for us to get help from our community. But if we don't take advantage of that, then we're the ones stuck feeling, left in the dark.
And it's no longer okay to just say, oh, well, I'm going through stuff, or my mental health, or I'm depressed, or I'm anxious. Well, that's nobody's problem but your own. Like, you need to take care of that. Just like if you have an actual medical illness, if you don't take care of your diabetes, I'm not the one with the high blood sugar, so I'm not the one going to feel the symptoms. I'm not the one that's going to have to go to the hospital if I don't take care of it. It's still you. Yeah. So the same thing with your mental health. If you don't prioritize it and take care of it, the only person that's going to feel the consequences is still you. Yeah. People are going to react to the way you react to them. Yeah. And yes, there is certain circumstances where people may be a little bit more understanding, but for how long?
For how long, my dear sister?
So you have to remember that. And that's why we brought it up. We wanted to talk to you all about our own journey into recognizing that we not only have past trauma, but recognizing that we needed help to decipher through the clutter and clean out our minds and our hearts to allow God to do the work in us.
Yes.
Because if you're holding on to hurt, if you're holding on to anger, if you're holding on to this sadness, it's not doing nobody else but you. The person you're mad about, the person you're sad about, the person that did you wrong, whatever the case may be, or the situation, it has moved on. Even in fact, that person is chopping bread and tea every
they don't even remember.
with extra sugar. And you're the one here drinking bitter lemon. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
But we get so stuck on the fact that, oh no, I'm not about to tell nobody my business. I'm not about to do this. I'm not about to do that.
Oh, it'll be you and that business until you die. I'm serious.
Look at yes.
Ha.
How has not telling your business gotten you?
How far are you?
Suffering and smiling doesn't make sense.
Okay. You know, especially in Proverbs, I forget the exact verse, but it really talks about having knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Yeah.
And truthfully so, like, that's why we have a God that literally loves us so much that he wants to grant us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But we have to ask. We have to be honest to ourselves about what we're going through. We have to ask God for clarity. We have to ask God, where does he want us to go and gather help from? Because sometimes some of us may find ourselves to be so Christian, air quotes, that we feel like, yeah, I'm gonna handle this my own. Like God's going, yeah, I'm gonna pray through with this. I'm gonna fast about it. And God has probably already given you the answer eons ago. And he's like, see my last email. I've already told you the answer. I've already given you
without
the way.
Food, going without social media. In fact, let's just stick on the food part. You people have been fasting since you were 5 years old. Joining the 21-day fast, joining the 40-day fast, joining the 99-day fast. Yet still, God is like, what you need is to declutter your mind and your heart.
Skills.
What sense does it make to keep going to God, fasting and praying and fasting and praying, but your heart is not in it?
Yeah.
Because it can't be. You are so preoccupied with the things that has happened to you and the things that you've gone through that you cannot be 100% present when you're with God.
That's a good point.
Because that was happening to me.
Yeah.
I was working for God, but was I working with God? No, because yet when I pray, my prayer sounded more like, well, God, I've been through this, and God, I need you to bless me with this, and God, I need you to help me with this, instead of, God, what is your will for me?
Yes.
How do you want me to do this?
Yes.
Where do you want me to go? Who do you want me to touch? Where do they need to hear my story? How do I need to impact others? There's a different tone.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to get at you like, oh, you need to go get a mental health specialist right now. No, what we're trying to say is you need to make the recognition that you need someone. And getting a therapist or somebody to talk to is not one size fit all.
It's not.
It's kind of like dating.
Thank you. I love telling that. I tell it to my clients all the time. Like, therapy, like finding the best therapist is literally like dating. It's not the first person you go on a date with that you marry. You know,
there's some people that you used to swipe. You go on a date with them, they can't even buy you chicken.
I'm just telling you.
Come on, 2,000 naira chicken.
I'm screaming. But like, yeah, no, but seriously, like the way we walk into the world and view certain things like dating or even finding a job is the same way we should look at like finding a therapist. The first therapist I meet, I may not like them. That happened in my instance. The first therapist I had, although she helped me with some really great skills, we wasn't really connecting well, so I only went twice and then kind of forgot about that. But now the therapist that I have, I've had her for about 3 years now. And it's not where I'm like, oh, I'm seeing her every day because I just don't feel healed or fixed. No, it's more so like we worked through the skills. We got through the breakthroughs. We got through a lot of stuff. And now I see her as needed. So if things come up or if things trigger me that I didn't even realize I had, then I go back and go more frequently. But if not, then it's more so like check-ins, like, oh yeah, this is what's going on with me. This is how it's going. And I feel pretty good. And, or these are the things I'm kind of working through, with my skills that I already have, but I'm working through it. And so, it's just nice to know that I have someone that I could contact to talk through these things.
We need non-biased opinions about our lives.
Yes.
We tend to run to people that will more likely be on our side about situations, or we often get self-destructive and go to the people that we know will tear us down even more.
Yes.
There's two things that happens there. So you need an unbiased opinion so that you can get somebody from the perspective lens of, I don't know you, I don't know who you are, but when I look at this situation, this is what I see.
Yeah.
You need a very concrete, objective feedback. You don't need somebody who will be like, oh, well, girl, when you was 5, when you did, let's cut it out.
Yeah.
Let's be more mature in our approach with our mental health.
Yeah.
For example, I'll tell you my story real quick. I was so against getting mental health help. I was like, ugh, no. But I grew up in a single parent household. Life was not really easy for us growing up. And being the oldest daughter, I had to face a lot of challenges that I did not want to face, of course. I had to grow up fast. I had to really ignore my own needs and put other people before mine. And I got used to that. And that's how I lived my life. Fast forward, I was in a relationship for almost 8 years, and I never wanted to commit and get married. I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But the truth of the matter is, I was so afraid of marriage that I couldn't even fathom the thought of committing myself to somebody that could potentially leave me one day, and I'll be stuck with 3 kids by myself, i.e., what happened to my mom. A lot of other things happened along the way. So one thing that triggered me to get mental health help was I was working with a man that when I was younger really took advantage of me when I was a kid, and it was not a good feeling. Like, I'm like, seeing you just triggers all the memories that I tried to ignore and suppress, whereas all I did was not suppress them. I was eating my feelings. So I would tend to eat nonsense, do nonsense. I did not prioritize my health. I didn't really care, right? Because my objective was to just make sure I never think about it ever again. So I now ended up saying, okay, I don't want to commit to this guy. That's an issue. I'm having anxiety when I go to work and seeing this person that used to talk to me all kinds of crazy and be mean to me at, growing up. So I can't even function at work. Now, thirdly, I'm realizing that I'm slowly backsliding into that little girl that just wants to sit down and eat French fries and chips all day so that I don't have to remember it. And of course, because it's food, nobody's gonna think that, oh, there's an issue with that. Oh, that's an addiction. Everybody's gonna be like, oh, she just like fries. That girl like fries. That girl like chips. But when it's something that you cannot stop and that's all you want to do all day, every day, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I ended up reaching out to a friend, a godly friend, a friend that I knew that would pray with me through it. And we were able to like reach out to a therapist, and she was amazing. I really prayed and fasted to find the right therapist, and I did. And she was incredible. She was Igbo. She understood me. She was also the first daughter. I mean, it was just like, mwah. And from the first conversation, it was just beautiful. And the first thing she told me, she was like, things don't always work out like this. Many times people have to go through 3 and 4 therapists before they find the right one. Now, the fact that we found each other to work with each other doesn't mean that this is where the work ends. She was like, it's going to be a rough journey. You're going to uncover some things that may be very painful. But once you do, you'll feel a lot freer and you'll be able to understand things from a different lens. Now we're 3 years down the line, and there's still stuff I'm using the tools that she taught me to uncover, but it's not as detrimental as when I didn't want to even think about it. So that's just a little bit about mine, and we may go into it a lot more later, but I just wanted you guys to realize that things like that occur. And the same month I met my therapist, I met my husband.
Period. Okay. And for me, with my therapist journey, the first time I sought a therapist was when I was failing a class
Oh yeah, I remember
in
that.
grad school, and that was 2018 when I was kind of like rushing my life and wanting it to look a certain way, because sometimes I do fall into like that perfectionist category, or at least I used to before I had a therapist. And so that therapist told me like, you're rushing life, you need to take a break, you need to slow down. Like why are you running, essentially?
Why are you running?
Literally. And so I, ended up taking a semester or two off, and applied to another program, moved to Denver, all the things. But in the midst of that, after that, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm healed. I feel like I'm good. Started my journey with God and all the things. But then after that point, God was like, yeah, you still got some stuff going on, because now fast forward to the next year, 2020, and like I'm in school, I'm in the program of my dreams, like everything is going well, but I just feel like mentally I'm falling apart and I don't know why. And so I literally contacted a therapist through my school. My school had my school insurance had like BetterHelp therapy or something like that. So I contacted one and I was like, I really love one that is a Black woman, but whatever y'all got, I'm good. And God was like, I got you. And so I met my therapist, and I am the spiel that I put in the thing for her to read before meeting me was, I feel like everyone thinks that my life is together, and I know it's not. And I don't know how to reconcile the two. So when she
That's a
met
lot of
me,
pressure.
it's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
It was a lot of pressure. Like just feeling like,
I
oh, you're
have
the
to be
one.
perfect.
Yeah, you're the one who knows everything and you got it together and da 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 da. And it's just like, I don't. But since we're here now, let me just keep rolling with the punches. And um, so when she met me, and I was still kind of like, yeah, my name's Florence, da 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 da, and I was pretending like I still had it all together. And she's like, okay, so I read your spiel, and I mean, to me, it looks like you do have it all together. So what am I missing? And I was like, I don't know. Because I don't know, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't even know how to tell you what you're missing and seeing in me, because I don't know why I keep appearing this way when I know I'm suffering.
I don't know why I feel the need to show up in
The
the world like
need.
I'm perfect.
And so we started working through, like I was seeing her like every week or every 2 weeks. Like we started working through like unpacking, well, what about this? And like she would just probe questions at me and probe scenarios at me. And then that's when it was like uncover. And she's like, well, why is dating so fearful for you? And I was like, I can't even think of dating. Like marriage is so scary, this, that, and that. I always think of the end. So I kind of don't even want to think of that. She's like, okay, well, one day, like I'm sure, like as you work on yourself, like God is going to bring you the right person. She was also a Christian. So God's going to bring you the right person, this and that. And I was like, yeah, we can handle that another time. Let's kind of focus on what's happening with me.
Yeah.
And so after we unpacked and we worked and this, that, and that, then she started seeing dating, which is something I never did. I rarely really dated ever. Like I can count on my hands how many people I've ever dated ever. And so she's like, okay, this is new. Like we're doing something. And so
We're getting
we're
somewhere.
getting somewhere. She's like, well, like, how are you able to date now? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm starting to see life like in the perspective in which you were opening up to me. Like, instead of seeing everything so negative and red flags, you help me to notice green flags and things that allow me to go, or things that tell me stop, or proceed with caution. And so many skills I learned just about myself, and calm down, and life is not always in a rush, and relax, and God is literally going to do what he says he wants to do in your life, but you actually have to let him do it. You can't try to control everything.
That's a big thing. I want us to pause there. You can't control everything.
Child.
That's why you feel like you're so out of control.
Yeah.
Once you release control, your life is a lot better.
Yeah.
You can't be in control of everything.
No.
I want you to understand that.
Yeah.
Do you feel me?
Hello?
You cannot control everything.
Man.
Release.
Yeah. And that is something I really had to learn, is that if I truly believe in a God that is in control of my life, why am I trying to teach him how to control my life?
Come on.
It makes no sense.
What's the point of being the author and finisher?
If I'm trying to be the author and finisher.
Okay.
But yet I have a finish end.
Okay.
And he don't.
Okay.
And so, you know, I've learned so much in therapy, and now like the skills I have to where like my joy is unending because
on.
I have God
Come on.
and I have skills.
Come on.
To work through the nasty things that the
Come
enemy
on.
allows in our
Come on.
lives. That the enemy places in our lives,
Come
rather I
on.
say. I have skills to work through it and realize that's not that big of a deal because God. That's not that big of a deal because God. That's not that big of a deal because God. He has made my mind and my spirit so strong that nobody could take away my joy. You know, sometimes the things that go on in our lives, that it's like people will be like, how are you still happy? How are you still afloat? And it's like, if you know what I've been through,
Come on.
the joy that God has allowed me to have through all the skills and the knowledge and the understanding that he has given me and the wisdom, I could never go back to feeling like
Come
that,
on.
no matter what.
Why do we go to doctors, but we don't feel like we need to go to mental health specialists?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, if you don't believe in mental health specialists, then stop going to the doctor. Don't go to the chemist. Don't get medication. Like, just exist on your own.
Yeah. And there's different ways to get mental health help too, because, you know, I'm not saying that you have to specifically find a therapist, board certified, this, that, and that.
Yeah.
There's different counselors at people's churches. There's different, you know, and you don't got to go to your church. Find another church that has that so that Nkechi does not know your business.
Because
hello,
before you know it, Pastor Alfred would just go and use your business for sermon.
Yeah, okay. But like, you know, really sorting out resources, finding things that are free and cheap. I know here in America, there's like many different resources. One is, you know, I'm gonna shout them out. No plug to them, but I use them. The Loveland Foundation is pretty good resource to get inexpensive therapy. And there's just a bunch out there. And so really like looking for your resources. Everything does not have to cost a lot of money to get help. Okay. Period.
And if you really cannot find,
hit us up.
Hit us up.
We'll find a resource.
We will find you resources. Tell us where you live. Okay.
We'll help you find it.
Now, if you live in a remote village,
then
there's no Googling to find the location. Baby, I can't help.
Yeah.
I can't help. But what I will do is I will pray for God to find someone.
Okay. To reveal it to you. Okay. Okay. But yeah. And so, yeah, basically that was the gist of the episode.
Yes. And honestly, all seriousness aside, y'all gotta do better.
Yeah.
Like, I know this was like a real serious
but it's giving.
But it's giving.
Do better.
Do better.
Do better.
We're too old for that.
Pick better for yourself.
We're too old for that.
We deserve to
Aren't you
live.
tired?
Facts. We deserve to live a life that makes sense. It don't mean that it's always gonna be apples and oranges and rainbows and all that, but it just gotta make sense. It just got to make sense.
My dear sister, guy after guy after guy after guy, if they're all doing you wrong, something is wrong with you.
That's another topic for another day.
I don't want to roll into it. Sister, brother,
my guy,
my girl, go and get mental health help.
Please. All right, that's it. We love y'all. Peace.